WNEM TV5 News starts right now with a breaking news alert.
That breaking news we've been following all morning long. A suspect is in custody following a stabbing at Bishop International Airport in Flint. The airport has been locked down since 10 o'clock this morning as passengers have been evacuated. Now, this just in, we're now hearing that the FBI is leading the investigation, and this is being treated as a possible terrorist incident. Our own Samaya Hernandez has been following this story since it broke. She's live at Bishop International to tell us what's happening there right now. Samaya, what can you tell us?
That's right. Now we're here at Bishop Airport. I can tell you it's a very concerning scene right now. There's a massive investigation, and TV5 has just learned that the FBI are investigating this as a possible terrorist attack. I'm going to step out of the way a little bit so that you can see what's happening behind me. Now, we are just hearing that a law enforcement officer here at the airport was attacked this morning around 9:45 or so. We're hearing that this individual was attacked from behind, possibly by someone wielding a knife, and a knife of substantial size. Now, we do know that that individual is in critical condition at Hurley Hospital. We don't know much about who that is at this time, but we are still learning that. But again, the FBI is taking lead in this investigation. We're hearing that they are investigating this as a terrorist attack, and that there are areas of the city, the surrounding city here, that are actually on lockdown because they don't know if this could involve other individuals. We heard that the person that they are interviewing at this time that committed this attack possibly came to the United States from Canada and speaks Arabic. But again, we're waiting to learn more details on that at this time. We do know that many of the airport police here are retired from the Flint Police Department. They're retired from the local sheriff's department, and they are working here at the police department. So we will update you as soon as we can. We do have continuing coverage on this. Going to send it back to you guys at this time for more coverage on this at this time.
All right, thank you, Samaya. As the airport is shut down, that means several flights have been delayed or canceled. Our own Rachel McCrary continues our team coverage from Bishop with how travelers have been impacted by this incident. Hi, Rachel.
A lot of commotion here at Flint Bishop International Airport. Just take a look behind me. There's law enforcement. The airport is being evacuated, and no one is allowed to come in. The entire building is on lockdown. Police are blocking the entrances and exits, and we did catch up with some travelers who are stuck here, and they don't know what's next.
So I got the rental car parked, and I'm going to drop the keys off at the counter. And there's an officer there said, can't let you in, so anybody inside couldn't get out, and anybody outside couldn't get in,
We are still working to find out exactly when the passengers will be able to reboard. People planning to fly from Bishop today are asked to contact their airline provider and find out if there's any cancellations. Right now, reporting at Flint Bishop International Airport, Rachel McCrary, WNEM TV5.
All right, thank you, Rachel, for that report. And we are just now learning that Flint City Hall is under heightened security. Officers stationed outside of the building following this incident at Bishop International Airport. Stay with TV5. Of course, we'll bring you continuing coverage of this breaking news story throughout the day, on air, online, and on your mobile device. We continue our breaking coverage now of this still developing story in Flint at Bishop International Airport. Let's go back to our own Samaya Hernandez now, who is live there with more details. Hi, Samaya.
That's right, Sarah. Now, the FBI is leading this investigation, and we're waiting for an update from their public information officer. At this time, we're in a cell phone parking lot, sort of just removed from where you would go to drop passengers off, and that is because the FBI, the Michigan State Police, local authorities are all together in this. They are investigating this as a possible terrorist attack, which is what TV5 has just learned. And as a precaution, City Hall in Flint has been placed on lockdown. We do know that passengers who came here this morning expecting to catch flights or drop off rental cars have been questioned by authorities as well. We caught up with a few of those folks who were trying to get out. Again, FBI investigating this as a possible terrorist attack. We hear that the officer that's been attacked is in critical condition at Hurley. I know that there are authorities that are checking on that person's condition at this time. time, but we will have more as soon as we have that presented. Again, we're waiting for an update from the FBI here, and we will keep you posted as soon as we know more. For now, reporting live in Flint, Samaya Hernandez, WNEM TV 5.
We interrupt this program for a breaking news alert.
Good afternoon. We continue to follow that breaking news out of Genesee County, where a man stabbed an airport officer from behind in the neck.
The FBI has taken over the investigation, and a source telling TV5 the suspect acted alone and will be charged with terrorism. The condition of the victim listed as stable at this hour.
Now, he has been identified as Jeff Neville, a retired lieutenant from the Genesee County Sheriff's Office. We are told a suspect is in custody.
No name has been released, but we're told the suspect may have come from Canada by way of New York. The airport right now remains shut down.
And we have complete team coverage from Flint Bishop this afternoon. And we are...
In just a moment, we're going to be going to David Custer, who is live at the airport. We want to give you the latest on the arrest of the suspect and the condition of the officer involved. Also, the airport, as we said, is closed right now. And so a lot of passengers have been inconvenienced. We don't know for how long.
And we continue the following breaking news out of Genesee County, where a man stabbed an airport officer from behind in the neck. The FBI has taken over the investigation. A source tells TV5 the suspect acted alone and will be charged with terrorism. Now, the condition of the victim is listed as stable at this hour. We do now have David Custer live from Flint Bishop. David.
Yeah, Colette and Frank, chaos and fear describe the scene here at Flint Bishop Airport. Many unanswered questions as the FBI has taken over this investigation here at the airport, which remains closed at this hour. What we do know, an officer was stabbed. A suspect is in custody. Our own Samaya Hernandez has been following this story all day, and she joins us now with the very latest. Samaya.
Thank you, David. Now, TV5 has learned that this suspect acted alone. We're told that this is someone who traveled to Canada and from Canada, to New York, rented a car and came here to Flint. Now, as you can see, there's still a very active scene behind me. The suspect critically injuring an officer this morning, but that officer has been upgraded to stable condition at this time. Now, this all happened around 9:45 a.m. Officer Jeff Neville, retired from Genesee County Sheriff's Department, injured this morning here, and we were told that this suspect that is in custody speaks Arabic. We do not know of what descent, but we were told that this is someone who came from Canada. Now, and that he attacked Officer Neville from behind with a knife. Now, TV5 has learned this is not a small knife, but a knife of some size, and this person has been questioned by FBI and by authorities. This is very much a joint investigation with Michigan State Police, local authorities, and the FBI heading this investigation. Now, the entire terminal evacuated here. We are some distance away from where that evacuation has taken place. We are in the cell phone call lot here, and flights have been canceled. Passengers have been rerouted to other airports. They've been told to call their provider for more information. Now, again, authorities saying this suspect acted alone, and TV5 is hearing at this time that that person will be charged with terrorism, but we will report more as we hear it at this time. David?
All right, Samaya, thank you. Now, as you can imagine, with the airport being shut down, this is creating quite a mess for travelers. I did speak to a friend of mine who was in Chicago trying to fly into Bishop Airport. She has since been rebooked onto a flight into Detroit. Now, Rachel McCrary has been talking to passengers who were coming in and trying to fly out of the airport. She has the latest on how they're dealing and how they're handling with this situation. Rachel.
Thanks, David. And as you can imagine, it's been a hectic day for anyone flying in or flying out of Flint Bishop International Airport today. Airlines like Delta, Southwest, and United all reporting cancellations or delays. Some airlines actually rerouting trips. The FBI still has the airport on lockdown. No one is allowed inside. Travelers getting off planes from earlier have been allowed to leave, but people I caught up with earlier today say this situation has them shook up.
Well, I'm really skeptical, and yeah, I was nervous the whole time, honestly, just because it's the first time flying, but now I'm really skeptical about this, but I still want to go regardless.
Then I find out I can't even leave, so we're stuck here in the parking lot. So anyway.
Passengers that are waiting around, you've seen them with luggage up there.
Again, the airport will remain closed until further notice. Now we are hearing about a press conference, as Samaya mentioned, by the FBI shortly that will also update us on flight information, and people planning to fly from Bishop today are asked to contact their airline providers to see about cancellations. Right now reporting in Flint, Rachel McCrary, WNEM TV 5.
All right, Rachel, thank you. Again, that situation and scene here at Flint's Bishop Airport, all stemming from a police officer that was stabbed earlier this morning. We are learning more about the victim. Cameron Riddle joins us now with the latest on that. Cameron.
Hey, good evening, David. We've been following this all evening, and we are starting to learn more as we go into the later hours of the day about Lieutenant Neville. We know that he's been with the police department there at the airport with the airport authority since 2001. In 2006, he was promoted to lieutenant in a job that he has done until now. He is still in that position. Prior to joining with the police at the airport, he worked for the Genesee County Sheriff's Department for 17 years. We did speak with the sheriff, Paquel, earlier today about what kind of officer he was. He described him as highly decorated and said that he was an officer who was a part of the county's drug enforcement task force for much of his career there. We talked with the sheriff. He says he was trying to get in contact with Lieutenant Neville's family to find out exactly where they are and how they are doing. Here at Hurley Medical Center, this is where the state police told us earlier this morning that Lieutenant Neville was taken. We haven't got any information coming out of there. Other than that, we know that he is now in stable condition after coming out of surgery. We will stay on top of what happens here at Hurley. We'll be looking for the family, looking for any other officers who are here inside the hospital to see how Lieutenant Neville is doing and also how they're doing with this. For now, we'll send it back to David Custer at the airport. David.
All right, Cameron, thank you. Again, let's recap what we know, what's going on here at Flint's Bishop International Airport. The airport remains closed at this hour as the FBI investigates after an officer was stabbed this morning. A suspect is in custody, and the FBI put out a statement at 2 p.m. believing that this is an isolated incident. Again, the airport does remain closed at this hour. We are going to continue to monitor this situation, and we'll bring you the very latest from Flint's Bishop International Airport as we learn it. For now, reporting live in Flint, David Custer, WNEM TV 5.
Thank you, David, and we will have continuing coverage from Flint throughout the evening as this story unfolds.
So let's take a look at what we know. The officer is stable condition right now after being stabbed at Bishop Airport. The suspect is in custody, and this attack being investigated as an act of terrorism. Additional security has been added at Flint City Hall, but early reports suggest the attack was an isolated incident and there is no ongoing threat to the city of Flint. The airport remaining closed at this hour. Flights to and from Bishop are being canceled.
Now, we are working to learn the identity of the suspect. We are also working to learn how the suspect was apprehended. Investigators and airport officials have given no indication on how long it will take before the airport will resume operations. The press conference is scheduled within the hour. Stay with TV5 for the very latest on this developing story throughout the day.
And we'll have it all for you on air, online, and of course on the TV5 mobile app. We'll bring you the newest details the moment they become available.
WNEM TV5 News starts right now with a breaking news alert.
Well, I'm really skeptical, and yeah, I was nervous the whole time, honestly, just because it's the first time flying, but now I'm really skeptical about this, but I still want to go regardless.
Bishop International Airport open again, but the community is on high alert. That's after a retired lieutenant from the Genesee County Sheriff's Office was attacked inside the terminal. We are so glad you could join us for TV5 News at 5. I'm Colette Boyd.
And I'm Meg McLeod in for David. The Flint Airport was evacuated earlier today for hours as local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies investigated.
Now, we've been following developments on this story all day. TV5's David Custer is live in Flint from outside the airport now with an update.
So, David, what does the scene look like right now?
Well, Well, the scene out here right now is still a very active scene, Colette and Meg. We still see state police and we see FBI over by the terminal right now as we speak. A lot is happening here at Bishop Airport. The FBI has descended upon the airport to lead this investigation. What we know so far, the attack happened before 10 this morning on the second floor of the airport inside Bishop's main terminal. A suspect was arrested and taken into custody. The FBI again is leading this investigation. We are waiting for word from the FBI. They told us they were going to address the press between 4:30 and 5 o'clock. That has still not happened right now, but we do have complete team coverage to learn more about today's incident. TV5's Samaya Hernandez has been out here all day with the very latest on what's happening. I'm going to send it out to her. Samaya.
Thank you, David. Yeah, now what we're hearing at this time is that the suspect acted alone, and TV5 has been told that this is someone who came from Canada to New York and rented a car to come here to Flint, critically injuring this morning an officer here at the airport. Now, this officer has been upgraded from critical to stable condition, but this all happened around 9:45 a.m. Officer Jeff Neville, he's retired lieutenant from Genesee County Sheriff's Department. Now, we are told that the suspect during this attack did speak Arabic, but again, we don't know of what descent this person is. Again, just hearing that they came from Canada at this time and wielding a knife, not a small knife, but a knife of substantial size. Now, the suspect is in custody and has been questioned by authorities, and the entire terminal was evacuated during this investigation. Flights canceled and passengers rerouted, but all of the passengers that are here are safe at this time. And again, the FBI believes that the suspect acted alone. We are waiting to hear more from them, and waiting for a briefing from them momentarily. For now, reporting live in Flint, Samaya Hernandez, WNEM TV5.
All right, Samaya, thank you. Now, we have been learning details about that police officer who was attacked. His name is Jeff Neville. He is a Bishop Airport public safety officer. State Police Lieutenant David Kaiser confirms Neville is a retired lieutenant with the Genesee County Sheriff's Department. His attacker jumped him from behind, stabbing him in the neck and back with a large bladed weapon. He was taken to Flint's Hurley Hospital, where he was listed in critical condition, but at last word was improved to stable condition. Now, TV5's Cameron Riddle is joining us live now at Flint's Hurley Hospital, where that officer is recovering tonight. Cameron, what can you tell us? What have you learned tonight?
David, we're working to learn more about Lieutenant Neville's condition at Hurley this evening. So far, we have not heard a lot since we know that he was taken out of surgery and upgraded to stable condition. That is coming from critical condition this morning, coming from those wounds that you just talked about, being stabbed in the neck and in the back. Outside of his condition, we're working to learn more about the police officer who Lieutenant Neville was. We now know that he has been serving the Genesee County law enforcement offices in some capacity for more than 30 years. He spent 17 years as a police officer with the Genesee County Sheriff's Department, and more recently, in 2001, he moved over to the Airport Authority, where he became a police officer there, and in 2006, he was promoted to lieutenant, the job he is doing today. We did get a chance to talk with Genesee County Sheriff Paquel this afternoon to see what kind of officer Lieutenant Neville is.
He was good. I wish I had a dozen more like him. I was sorry to hear today that he was the officer who was stabbed, but we thank God that he's out of surgery and doing well.
And 33 years on law enforcement here in Genesee County, 17 years there with the Sheriff's Department, and now 16 years at the airport. Again, still trying to find out more information about his condition. All we know at this hour is that he is stable. We are on the lookout for any fellow officers or family and friends who come to visit him here at Hurley this evening. For now in Flint, Cameron Riddle, TV5 News.
All right, Cameron, thank you. Again, I want to recap the situation that's unfolding out here at Bishop Airport right now. What we know so far is that a steady flow of traffic has been coming back into the airport. We are still waiting word from the FBI, who is the lead investigator on the situation out here at the airport right now. We know a suspect is in custody. The FBI put out a statement at 2 p.m. believing this is an isolated incident. As you can imagine, this has been causing some chaos and fear among passengers traveling in and trying to fly out of Bishop Bishop Airport. Our very own Rachel McCrary has been following that story, and she'll have the very latest for us coming up in just a minute here on WNEM TV5. For now, we will continue to stay out here at Flint's Bishop Airport and monitor this situation. Reporting live in Flint, David Custer, WNEM TV5. Colette, Meg, back to you.
Thank you, David. Now, today's incident is having an impact all across the city of Flint. A heightened police presence could be seen at a number of major offices today, including Flint City Hall and the water treatment plant.
The entire City Hall complex is open for normal business. The officers are here just to simply provide security. We did lock a couple of the employee doors to try and restrict the number of doors that we needed to cover with officers simply due to staffing concerns. And those are locked, but they are not doors that the public would normally use.
Now, the City Council was set to meet tonight to discuss where the city will get its water for possibly the next 30 years. That gathering has been rescheduled for Friday at 1 p.m.
Flint Mayor Karen Weaver has released a statement about the stabbing and the heightened security that's followed. She says, quote, "My thoughts and prayers are with all of our law enforcement officers who work to service and protect us each and every day. I want the public to know that several agencies are involved in working to ensure the situation is under control. However, at this time, we're taking extra precautions just to be safe."
I find out I can't even leave, so we're stuck here in the parking lot. So anyway.
We are continuing to follow the situation that's unfolding at Flint's Bishop International Airport. As you can imagine, this situation has created quite a mess for travelers, for people trying to fly out of the airport and for people coming into the airport. I spoke to a friend of mine who was stranded in Chicago trying to get to Flint. She was booked on a flight to Detroit as her flight was put in jeopardy. Our very own Rachel McCrary has been talking to passengers all day and has the very latest on how they're handling this situation.
Now, it does appear and it does look like the airport is back open, and we're talking to travelers and passengers all day who are stuck here at the airport, even including one woman who says that she was just picking up her husband from his very first flight.
We heard screaming, and we came out the opposite way, and we heard that the officer that we had just passed had been stabbed.
Ariel Whitehead says her and her two kids saw the stabbing aftermath at Flint Bishop International Airport.
I saw the officer on the stretcher, and I saw blood all over him.
Whitehead was in the airport picking up her husband from his very first flight when
we were told to leave the building. I asked an officer what was going on, and he said to get my kids out of there.
The airport was evacuated, and no one was able to come or go. Witnesses were interviewed while police investigated the incident, leaving Whitehead stuck at the airport for several hours.
I was thinking if we would have stood there any longer, then that it could have been me or one of my kids.
Hours went by before Whitehead was allowed to leave. She says due to the stress of today, she says she might consider staying on the ground next time.
Normally we drive, so this has definitely been something that we've thought about, and we probably will end up driving next time we come up here.
And airport officials tell us they haven't even been able to get inside to check their website and to update that. So if you're looking for cancellations, they are urging everyone to go to their airline carriers directly. Right now, reporting in Flint, Rachel McCrary, WNEM TV5.
All right, Rachel, thank you for that report. Now, we are continuing to monitor the situation here at Flint International Airport. We are waiting for the FBI to address the media about this situation. We are told that they were going to be holding a press conference between 4:30 and 5 p.m. That has yet to happen. The FBI is the lead investigator on the situation that continues to unfold here at Flint's Bishop International Airport. We'll continue to update you throughout this newscast. For now, reporting live in Flint, David Custer, WNEM TV5.
For you, and we appreciate your accuracy in reporting. I'd like to introduce to you the special agent in charge of the Detroit Division, which covers the entire state of Michigan, Special Agent in Charge, David Gelios.
Good afternoon, and I'd like to thank you all for your patience throughout the day today. You'll excuse me to defer to a few notes here because I want to give you as accurate information as I can. We have had a very busy day, and I know we've kept you waiting, and we wanted to wait until we had a point that we could come out here and provide you a little more information than we might have been able to do had we done this an hour or two ago. So before I start, though, I just want to say that you all are aware of the incident we had out here today where Lieutenant Jeff Neville was stabbed. And before we get to any details of the investigation and what happened here today, I would like to turn this over to Chief Chris Miller of the Bishop International Airport Public Safety Department to give you information on what's most important, and that's the current health condition of Lieutenant Neville. Chief?
Good evening, everyone. Lieutenant Neville is in satisfactory condition. As you all heard what happened to him. He's doing fine, and he's residing at a local hospital right now. He's resting comfortably. And we'd just like to thank everybody that came out to support us here in this trying time. So that's all I have.
And we'll introduce others of the partners here today. As you can imagine, this has been a great joint local, state, and federal operation since early this morning, and we couldn't have done it without all the partners here. And we'll give them each an opportunity to introduce themselves. But I will just go into the facts of what we've been investigating today. I will tell you that we are investigating this incident today that happened at about 9:45 this morning as an act of terrorism. We have just filed a complaint charging an individual by the name of Amor Fatoui. He's a 50-year-old resident of Canada who legally entered the United States in Lake Champlain, New York on June 16th and made his way to Flint, and today arrived at the Flint International Airport. Obviously, I know a lot more about this, and we're sort of at 0 hour of this investigation right now, and since it is a pending investigation, I'm not going to go into great detail as to what we do know, but we do know Mr. Fatoui entered the airport. He spent a little time on the first level, then he went upstairs, he spent some time in the restaurant up there, and then he came out. He was carrying baggage. He went into a restroom. He spent a little time in the restroom, dropped both bags and came out, pulled out a knife, yelled Allah Akbar, and stabbed Lieutenant Neville in the neck. As was mentioned by the chief, he's in stable condition and is expected to fully recover, and that's the most blessed thing I think we can say about this today. It's a good outcome. We had some incredible acts of heroism up there today, and in questions we can perhaps talk a little bit about the efforts to take Mr. Fatoui into custody. The complaint that's been filed is charging a violation of 18 U.S. Code 37A1, which basically is violence at an international airport. And just to give a little more background on that, that is when someone unlawfully uses a device to commit an act of violence at an international airport that could have or did cause serious injury, which we had in this instance. There's a 20-year penalty associated with that, but this, as I said, is very, very early in the investigation. And as we progress and take this matter to grand jury for indictment, other charges could be pending later on. As I mentioned, it's an ongoing investigation. There's joint operations going on in Canada as we speak. We want to thank our Canadian partners who are helping us further investigate this attack. And with that, I would like to defer to some of my partners here to make brief statements as well.
Sir, can you spell the suspect's first and last name for us, please?
The name is Amor, A-M-O-R, Fatoui, F-T-O-U-H-I. And as I mentioned, he's approximately a 50-year-old Canadian.
When did he enter the country?
Pardon me, he entered the country on June 16th. And as I mentioned, it's a pending investigation. We know he came to the airport this morning. That's as far as we're going to go with. We're trying to develop further information as to his timeline and where he went after he entered the United States in Lake Champlain, New York.
Can you describe the weapon he used?
We'll take questions at the end, and I will describe the weapon.
Yep, just to let everybody know, again, we're going to do a question and answer segment towards the end, about 10 minutes worth. Right now, we'll go ahead and have the introductions of all of our local, state, and federal partners that are here with us.
Special First Lieutenant David Kaiser with the Michigan State Police. First and foremost, Michigan State Police would like to extend their thoughts and prayers to Lieutenant Neville and his family during this very difficult time. The Michigan State Police has supplied many different resources here today to work with our local, state, and federal partners. Some of the resources provided included officers, detectives, bomb-sniffing canines, and our Michigan State Police Crime Lab. They were all involved in this investigation and worked well with the partners in this. I'd also like to mention that Governor Rick Snyder has been in frequent contact with the Michigan State Police headquarters today, inquiring about the status of the injured officer as well as the status of this investigation. And the Michigan State Police is very appreciative of this contact. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Timothy Johnson, City of Flint Police Chief. Just want to thank everybody for your concerns. We have multiple jurisdiction police here trying to get to the bottom of this, and we have the Mayor of Flint that's here also, and she's going to come up and make some comments. But just thank you for your concerns, and we appreciate everybody coming out to be concerned about what happened here at Bishop International Airport. Tragedy, but thank God that the officer is alive. He's doing well now. He's out of critical condition, so he's recovering right now. So thank you for your concern.
The Michigan now coping with fear and anguish after an attack on an officer that the FBI is investigating as an act of terrorism.
We have team coverage on this morning's attack as we bring you everything that happened at Mid-Michigan's busiest airport.
The news at 6 starts right now.
WNEM TV5 News starts right now with a breaking news alert.
They're investigating this incident today that happened at about 9:45 this morning as an act of terrorism.
There you go.
We are live at Flint's Bishop International Airport where the scene continues to unfold. We just received information from the FBI just wrapping up a press conference. We're told that 50-year-old Amor Fatui from Canada is accused of stabbing airport officer Lieutenant Jeff Neville. He will be arraigned in Detroit. Let's go now to TV5's Samaya Hernandez, who has the very latest information unfolding. Samaya. Okay, let me recap what the FBI is reporting to us. They just held a press conference and tell us that Lieutenant Jeff Neville was stabbed. He is in satisfactory condition at Hurley Hospital. He was stabbed in the neck at 9:45 this morning. It is being investigated as an act of terrorism. 50-year-old Amor Fatui legally entered the U.S. at Lake Champlain, New York on June 16th. He entered the airport this morning. He spent some time downstairs, then went upstairs, came out of the bathroom with a knife, yelled Allah Akbar, and then stabbed Neville. Now, the FBI has filed a complaint of violence at an international airport. It is a 20-year penalty associated with this. He could be charged with more. They are working right now with the Canadian government to jointly investigate this. Amor Fatui, again, is a 50-year-old from Canada, entered in New York. He used a 12-inch knife with an 8-inch blade. He yelled Allah Akbar, which means Allah is the greatest, and said, "You have killed people in Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan, and you are all going to die." Lieutenant Neville kept fighting Fatui, and 4 officers were able to all take him down. Now, airport operations are returning to normalcy. 5 morning flights were affected. People traveling in and out of the airport need to call ahead, as there are going to be delays as they continue to work to get the airport back to normal operations. Again, 50-year-old Amor Fatui from Canada, accused of stabbing an airport officer. Our very own TV5 Samaya Hernandez has been out here all morning following every detail as it's released in this situation. She joins us live now with the very latest. Samaya.
That's right. Thank you, David. Now, this joint investigation here, finally receiving an update today, understanding that this suspect did travel to Canada, from Canada to New York, coming here to Flint. We don't know why he chose Flint, but we understand that he spent some time inside of the airport airport. He spent some time in a restaurant. He left some bags down. The FBI just telling us that he dropped off some bags and then pulled out a 12-inch knife and attacked Lieutenant Neville from behind, stabbing him multiple times in the neck. Lieutenant Neville putting up a fight for his life, and firefighters and the chief of police here at the airport coming to his assistance. Again, just a very long day. This happened at 9:45 a.m. This airport just got back up and running around 4 p.m. And we're still waiting to understand more about this suspect and why he traveled from Canada here and attacked Lieutenant Neville here at the airport. He is being charged with an international crime at an international airport, and we will continue to tell you more details as we receive them. The FBI did tell us that during their investigation they found out that he has, quote, a hatred for the United States. So again, we're waiting to find out more about that as well. But for now, reporting live in Flint, Samaya Hernandez, WNEM TV 5.
All right, Samaya, thank you. And again, he is accused of stabbing Lieutenant Jeff Neville, who is an airport security officer here at Bishop International Airport. Now, we are learning more about this officer. Our very own Cameron Riddle joins us live now with the very latest on the situation involving Officer Neville. Cameron.
Good evening. We are still trying to find out more details about Lieutenant Neville, both his condition and what he did as an officer over at the Flint Bishop Airport and for the Genesee County Sheriff's Department. In that press conference that you just watched here live on TV5, we got a little bit more information about what exactly happened to Lieutenant Neville this morning at the airport. He was stabbed from behind in the neck and in the back with a 12-inch knife slash, and then he was brought here to Hurley Medical Center where he was in surgery. Since then, he was upgraded from critical to stable, and as the officer said there in the press conference, satisfactory. He is sitting inside comfortably, they say, and while he is sitting comfortably, the other officers who worked with him are reflecting on his career and what kind of man and officer he is. We talked with the Genesee County Sheriff Robert Pickell earlier today, where he worked with the Sheriff's Department for 17 years. He talked about how good of an officer he was, said he was highly decorated, and said, unfortunately, more events like this, attacks on police officers, are becoming more common.
You know, it's just getting to be more and more the nature of our business, where these violent attacks on police officers is, you know, happening with some regularity. And, you know, in this particular case, it appears that it was just sudden, unprovoked, and thank God he's alive.
As Mayor Weaver said in that press conference, this situation could have been a whole lot worse. The sole victim, again, is Lieutenant Neville, who was here at Hurley Medical Center healing from being stabbed in the back and in the neck with a 12-inch knife. Again, he is resting comfortably in satisfactory condition. We are going to continue to stay on top of this story and give you more information about who Lieutenant Neville is. For now, at Hurley Medical Center, Cameron Riddle, TV5 News.
We are glad that he is recovering well. Cameron, thank you. Now, as you can imagine, this caused a lot of concern and chaos for passengers who were coming to the airport to travel out and for passengers that were traveling into Flint Bishop Airport. I did speak to a friend of mine who was stranded in Chicago. She was booked on a flight to Detroit. Our very own Rachel McCrary has been talking to passengers all day, and she has the latest on how they handled this situation. Rachel.
Now that the airport is back open, airport security are just saying they're trying to get everything up and running smoothly as possible. We did just see a few planes taking off, but it was a much different story just a few hours ago. Travelers and passengers had to spend much of their afternoon just waiting to leave the airport.
And then I find out I can't even leave. So we're stuck here in the parking lot. So
Dale Kingsbury says he got to Flint Bishop International Airport just after 9 this morning. He was dropping off a rental car before heading up north.
There were very few people that were outside. The people inside, you know, they were locked down inside.
Kingsbury says he was stuck at the airport for more than 4 hours. He says it's an inconvenience, but understands the precautions.
These things happen. Fortunately, I'm retired, so our time is pretty flexible.
During that press conference from earlier, officials are telling us that at least 5 flights were affected today. And if you are concerned, if you're heading out to Flint Bishop International Airport, to go directly to your airline carrier to check for delays. Right now, reporting in Flint, Rachel McCrary, WNEM TV 5.
All right, Rachel, thank you. And again, airport operations are returning to normalcy. If you are traveling out or if you know someone that is traveling in, you are advised to call the airport as there are several delays that are happening right now. Now, again, I just want to recap. 50-year-old Amour Fatui from Canada is accused of stabbing an airport officer. That is Lieutenant Jeff Neville. He is listed in satisfactory condition right now at Hurley Hospital. We will continue to follow the developments as they unfold here at Flint's Bishop International Airport. For now, I'm going to send it back to the studio.
You know, David, you know, what's so interesting with something like this, when this happens, when terrorism happens and you read about it, you hear about it, it's somewhere else. It's not in your own backyard, but it's happening right here in our backyard. What's the sense, what's the mood like in the community that you're hearing from today?
Well, you know, it was fear and chaos here at Flint's Bishop International Airport all day long, as many people did not know what was unfolding here at the airport. And then it spread across the city, as we had learned from Cody Kaczynski that City Hall was placed on lockdown as a precaution. So you never think that terrorism is going to hit in your own backyard. And that Mayor Karen Weaver came to this press conference briefly, and she spoke about how this hits close to home. You'd never expect it to happen in your backyard. So it sends a lot of fear through everybody in this area.
Hey, David, just to bring some clarity to this, there was quite a bit of concern about whether a weapon had made it through a checkpoint. Give us an idea of where this happened in relation to airport security.
The FBI at their press conference told us that the 12-inch knife, which had an 8-inch blade, never made it past security. It never made it to the TSA checkpoint. We're told that the man came in downstairs. He kind of wandered around. He went upstairs for a little while, and then he came out of the bathroom upstairs. If any of you are familiar with the airport, the bathrooms are just right to the top of the escalator to the right, which is before the TSA security screening checkpoint. So the man never made it past security with the knife.
So there would never have been an opportunity for anyone to stop him or assess any intent he had to cause harm because he never came in contact with an officer until he attacked the one.
That is correct. The FBI says there was no indication that he was carrying a weapon. He had bags, as any passenger would that comes to Bishop International Airport. It's when he came out of the bathroom wielding the knife, and when he yelled Allah Akbar, and then he attacked Lieutenant Neville. That's when it was very apparent that he was trying to create an act of terrorism, and it took 4 officers to take him down, and I'm told that Lieutenant Neville kept fighting the entire time.
And that's what I reveled in. I love to hear that, David. You know, we do know that Lieutenant Neville is now in satisfactory condition at Hurley, and he never stopped fighting. He's a fighter, and our hearts and our prayers are going out to him and his family because he will not stop fighting. Thank you, David, for that. And stay with TV5 and WNEM.com for continuing coverage on this developing story on air, online, and on the TV5 mobile app. We'll check back in with David in just a few minutes. Well, the news of the stabbing attack on an officer at Flint's Bishop International Airport this morning comes with an element of shock that an attack of this kind could even happen in a place with so many security protocols.
And that's creating fear and confusion about safety in places like airports this evening. Joining us now live on the phone tonight is local security expert Tom Meinsberg. And Tom, preventing today's attack, this happened in a common area away from security and by someone who had not gotten on or exited from a plane, had any contact with security. How do you stop something like that?
It's really not so much the ability to stop it. It is to being able to respond to it and recognize it. It's similar to what happened in the UK. You know, they had security procedures in place for the concert, which were very in-depth. But before you entered, that's where the vulnerable spots are. And this is before the TSA safeguards are placed in place, or before that area is in place. So it's just like any public area. It's awareness, you know, trust your suspicions and keep an active eye out to see if there's something that might cause you harm that you have to react or report.
And that's what you were saying. You were saying you need to look out for. What are some of those signs? Let us know if we were in the midst of this. What do we need to look out for to say, hey, this may be a potential terrorist act about to happen? What should we look out for? What advice do you have?
Just, your general intuition. It's a summation of all your previous experiences. And when something doesn't look right, then it's time to recognize it, move away from it, and don't be afraid to report it. But it can be anything from suspicious behavior to somebody acting furtive, unable to make eye contact, and moving away from people to hide whatever they might be hiding, and just people acting out of the ordinary when they're not normally communicating and looking like they want to interact with people. That might be a consideration that things are awry there.
Tom, do you think there'll ever be any consideration of having no public area in the airport that you can access without going through security? I mean, security at the front door?
I don't foresee that happening in the future. I'm more inclined along the line to where, they might increase police presence, but then also, that comes at a cost, and also, a risk at that too. I think it's going to come down to, even for us as individuals, to start recognizing things, being able to report them, and help the police out, because we can't have an officer escorting everybody through and check on them. So next best thing to do is have 1,000 eyes and ears helping out the few officers that we do have.
Hey, well, let me ask you this. We hear that the suspect yelled Allah Akbar before he stabbed the officer. If you hear something like that, would you tell someone to get involved, or would you just say, hey, leave it to law enforcement?
It all depends. If you're there, people are getting injured. There's an awful lot of us in law enforcement and others even off duty that would intervene to try to, save people there. But you also have to be aware of your limitations too. To add to the victim total, it might be something to where you start dispersing people, getting away from the threat, to where if it is a knife, you limit their range and you get people in secured locations away from the scene and moving them quickly, because they're going to be stunned. They're going to sit there and probably make themselves a victim. But if you're aware of it, then you can move people away. You're doing as good as they are as attacking him and keeping it away too.
All right, thank you very much. Tom Meinsberg, security expert, joining us with some insight into the terrorist attack happening at Bishop Airport.
And like he was saying, always keep your eyes and your ears open. You never know when this can happen, but if you're alert and aware, then you can really help yourself.
And
stay
alert,
safe. Yes, stay alert.
An officer,
That's
a trained
right.
officer near you.
And the details of today's terror attack at Bishop International Airport continue to develop this evening.
Samaya Hernandez is speaking with the FBI, and we'll get the latest on their investigation tonight. That's next.
I'm David Custer, live at Flint's Bishop International Airport. We continue to follow breaking news. The FBI investigating an act of terrorism. We're told 50-year-old Amur Fatui stabbed Lieutenant Jeff Neville in the neck this morning. He is an airport security officer. Let's go now live to Samaya Hernandez for the very latest on their investigation. Samaya.
Thank you, David. Yeah. Lieutenant Neville putting up a severe fight for his life. We understand that this suspect traveled from Canada to New York and then came here to Flint, and we don't understand why he chose Flint's Bishop Airport, but we do understand that once he was here, he spent some time in the airport, he spent some time in a restaurant, he put down some bags, and he apparently, at the FBI just now telling us that he shouted Allah Akbar while stabbing Lieutenant Neville in the neck several times. Lieutenant Neville fighting back, and a civilian as well as the chief of police here at Flint Bishop's Airport coming to his aid, and also a firefighter coming to his aid. He went from critical to stable condition, so he is doing much better, but everyone still very concerned about him here. This is a very long day for airport officials here, and we do understand that this suspect has been charged with performing an act of violence at an international airport, and that he will likely be arraigned in Detroit, but we will tell you more about that as soon as we know that as well. For now, reporting live in Flint, Samaya Hernandez, WNEM TV 5.